So I'm here to talk about cloud computing, some myths about cloud computing and some facts regarding those. I'm not going to deep dive into cloud computing, but of course at WSO2 we have a lot of experience working with Amazon EC2 as well as our own cloud platform because we have the Carbon platform, the product platform available as a cloud platform as well. We have a open source software project which is cloud native middleware stack that can run on the cloud, both private and public. And the same thing we do host as a service provider for the rest of the world, so as a Java platform as a service, so that people can use the platform as it is and deploy their apps on that. So the important thing that not very many people know about WSO2 is the fact that we have been there in this space from 2009. So we have 2 years of experience in the cloud space on top of the middleware stack space. And we have done a lot of things that other people have never even now only thinking about doing. Things such as through scalability, through multi-tenancy in the Java platform as a service space. WSO2 did about 2 years ago, and today it has matured with the 2 years of experience and still maturing, and we are far ahead from the curve with respect to the rest of the pack. But I'm not going to talk about the WSO2 cloud platform here, but rather I will talk about cloud in general, but always I would relate to my experiences working with various cloud technologies here. Just for the benefit of those who are not that familiar with the cloud computing aspect, the rationale here is to treat computing as a service rather than having a machine. For example, I have a machine here, but the concept in cloud computing is to not have my own machine, but rather have it run and maintained by somebody. I just use it, right? And this could sound like alien, but in computing space we always use cloud computing like things. For example, when I graduated about 10 years ago, companies used to run their own mail servers. But today, people hardly run their own mail servers by organizations. You just go to Google, either use Google Mail or you buy a package from Google to run email. You never run it on your own. You just get the service from there, right? So email as a service is there, but people don't think about it like a service. It's a fact, right? So the same thing is happening for data, for computing power, for various entities that you can have in the software space, right? And what you can have on the cloud when it comes to computing is that you can have the infrastructure facilities, or you can have the platform enablers, or you can have the applications themselves, right? So these aspects are known as platform as a infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service, right? Very many people know about Salesforce, and Salesforce was one of the key pioneers in this space, and they came up with saying that you don't need software, you can use software as a service. And then with Amazon's success, they, apart from building a successful online business, they tried to solve the problems, computing problems that they had, and they came up with service orientation, computing technologies, and they realized that they can sell this as a business, right? So today, when you go to infrastructure as a service, where you want a machine with an operating system, the easiest is to get it from Amazon EC2. You can just swipe your credit card and get a machine instance. Now the value of this is the fact that people used to wait for your IT department to put a purchase order, request for a machine, get the finance to approve that, and by the time the machine comes after 3 months or 2 months, or if you're lucky after 1 month, your purpose for that machine is dead kind of scenario, right? But today if I want a machine, and for a few dollars I can get for a few hours a virtual machine running in Amazon EC2 or some cloud computing provider, and I can use that for my purpose, and my access to the resources are so fast, so agile, that I don't want to wait for somebody, and the prices are so low that I can justify paying out of my corporate credit card for that particular machine, or paying out of the petty cash box or whatever. The computing resources are so cheap from that aspect, right? So, so computing has really become a commodity. I don't need to wait till my laptop comes from the US. I just can get a machine and run my stuff. Then the thing about the beauty about the cloud computing scenario when it comes to higher levels of platform and software is the fact that if you are running those in-house, you have to have people who are skilled, who know how to manage this, who know how to configure this. You have to administer them, manage, maintain them, monitor them. All these aspects now are done by the provider, the service provider. Like you get electricity, like you get internet, you can get your provider to worry about all those things, and you never worry about it, right? Now, nobody worries about configuring the mail server today. As I said, you go to Gmail and get it. For example, WSO2's mail runs on Gmail, right? And nobody knows. I am samis@wso2.com. But we don't have anybody in our IT department managing that. So all that is outsourced, right? We don't really care about how that happens. But on the other hand, all those are optimized, right? They are the geeks or experts in the space. They can run it for us, right? For example, the power of the platform as a service from WSO2 is the fact that we know the middleware space, and we know how to configure and all those stuff, our products. So people can just come and use the service rather than trying to worry about downloading the product, configure it, maintain it, and stuff like that, right? So the computing is kind of moving towards commodity aspects. So in 2010, I purposely put 2010 and 2011, right? We used to run data centers and package applications on various computing resources on premise or in physical machines, but we will have one day where not everything will run on the cloud, but almost everything is possible on the cloud. The machines, the platforms, the infrastructure, the platforms such as the middleware, services, databases, etc., as well as the software itself, the applications can run on the cloud, right? So this is putting everything onto the cloud, but obviously not everything will go onto the cloud. People will have physical machines, etc. So the real reality is hybrid cloud, but the point is that most of these things can completely run on the cloud computing paradigm, where people go to a portal and get their requirements satisfied. Now, there are various misunderstandings about when it comes to cloud computing. One thing is cloud is virtualization, right? I went to one of these Intel Technology Days where companies come and present their technical portfolio and product portfolio. And most of the people, when they talk about cloud, they talk about virtualization, the virtual machine aspect, etc. But in fact, when you really talk about a cloud computing scenario, you have to talk about scaling up, scaling down, billing and metering aspects, where you can really monitor what you are using, and you can pay and bill based on what you are using, the APIs, the ability to incrementally test and migrate, and things such as those. So cloud is not about just virtual machines or virtualization for that matter. It's far more than that. You have to think about the cloud native aspects, so-called cloud native aspects that you have to think about when you go for a model like this. I will talk about some of those cloud native aspects in the following slides, right? And people think about cloud computing and argue, saying that well, it is on the network, so you will hit the network bottleneck, and the network latencies will be a problem. But if you think about it, most of the stuff that we do, the Facebook, the Twitter, and this thing and that thing, they're all on internet, right? And so what, right? So yes, there will be bottlenecks, obviously, but still people know how to live with those bottlenecks, right? But on the other hand, you can architect your solutions to deal with the bottlenecks. You don't really need to hit the network all the time for all the stuff, right? So it will have a lot of yes, there will be bottlenecks because you can never beat the network latency, but at the same time you can design your solution, design your architecture to get around those aspects. Then the other biggest concern is we don't own our data, right? But the point is that you are going to a service provider and getting the service, right? Before signing the deal, before getting your cell phone, you look at the contract, you look at the terms, right? This is about commodity computing, computing as a commodity. It is like getting your internet connection, right? Look at the terms. If you are not happy, there are providers who can play, you can deal with, you can negotiate terms with, right? And also it is about the rights to choose. And also you have to look for the fact of being able to check out, right? Don't just go to a cloud provider and just use the cloud computing services that they offer, but before that, see whether you can check out your data, right? So if you can check out, you obviously can own your data, and obviously terms and conditions will also govern what you can do. Then the other concern is the security, especially the data security. There's this problem that people face in terms of data sovereignty. Who owns this data, right? But the fact is that we have enough security technologies today that you can trust the data that is hosted by someone, right? Don't we do online banking? All our money is on in the bank, right? People trust. Why? Because security is good enough. So look again for the service level agreements and see whether what are the kind of data security that your cloud provider is offering. Are they encrypting your data? Do you have the option of selecting the encryption of data? Because data encryption will slow down the service. Do you really want to encrypt the data all the time? Or what's the deal, right? And sometimes it is not about security, but rather about regulations. For example, in Sri Lanka, if you're running a bank, you're not supposed to have your data outside the country, right? So you can't just go and get a cloud computing service and host your application in there, right? So the governing factor at that point will not be security, but rather regulations. And the other thing is that the feeling that cloud will lead to lock-in, right? And again, it is about choice, right? And also, when you're choosing, you have to decide, what if I want to move out of this service provider? Can I move, right? That should be the deciding factor before you select someone. And also contract comes into play. And also there you can pay attention to the deployment aspects of applications. What sort of applications are they supporting? Are they supporting Java or custom language? Are they allowing your existing applications to be deployed so that if you don't like the cloud solution, you can come back and still continue operating? Or do you have to do custom code or customizations in order to get your data and applications onto the cloud? And whether there are tools to migrate from one provider to the other.